everybody, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in March. So yeah, let's get into the video. So in March I read 5 books. I originally was still reading Stormlight 4. The lamp does not like being on. It's fine. Anyways, I was originally reading Stormlight 4, Rhythm of War, and it was taking so long. And no, don't worry, Sid, I'm not quitting forever. I just set it down when I reached part 4 because it seemed like a good stopping place, and I was like, I need to get some like reading momentum going. Otherwise I'm gonna be here like reading this book for the rest of my life, making myself miserable. So I set it down because it was starting to feel like a lot of work, and I was like, I don't want this to feel like a lot of work. Picked up a bunch of other things last month, and then in April I'm doing the Kindle Unlimited thing, and then I'm planning to pick Rhythm of War back up after that. So, you know, just putting it off a little bit. So we'll get into the books that I read. So one of the books that I read in March was Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Ames. I really enjoyed this book. It is a story about this gang of mercenary warriors, kind of, but they're a band, right? They're a band of warriors. It's kind of your classic 5-man band, which is really funny, but it's intended to be really funny. Like, it's poking a little bit of fun at rock bands, at traditional storytelling, at all of the elements that you would kind of expect from an adventure story with a band of dudes. And so I had a lot of fun with all of the sort of like light fun poking throughout this book. And I really liked the main character. I was kind of surprised with the general like lighter tone and sort of like satirical elements at how serious the arc of the main character actually was. Right, so the story is about this band of guys that used to kind of rule the world. I mean, they didn't, but like they were the best band around, right? Like they defeated all these monsters, they were really famous, they had all the glory, and you know, then they got old and they had kids. And this one guy, his daughter is in trouble, and so he's trying to get the band back together. And so he comes to our main character who has to get the old band back together and like complete this impossible adventure across this forest to rescue this guy's daughter. And it's actually so full of heart. It's a really charming story. It's really fun, but it still has some really great character development. So I would definitely recommend this if you're a fan of fantasy, if you're a fan of adventures, and if you're a fan of like satire. So yeah, this was a fun read. The next book that I read in March was The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle Jensen. I actually have a review up for this on my channel, like a full-length review, so I'll keep this short. But this book was so good. I was in a bit of a reading slump, and it's also just been a long time since I read a book that I just like flew through, where like I didn't even read the words, where I didn't even know that I was reading, and like suddenly the story was just like done, and I was just, you know, entranced, and it was really good. So yeah, this is a fantasy romance. I mean, okay, it's fantasy and then it doesn't take place on our world, but it doesn't actually have any magic, but, you know, still fantasy in my opinion. About this woman named Laura who enters into an arranged marriage with some ulterior motives, shall we say, on behalf of her kingdom, and her husband also has like these secrets, and so it's this like arranged marriage romance where they're both kind of have like these hidden agendas, and they kind of like have to learn to love each other even through all of these like lies and various motivations and political machinations of other people and themselves. And it's really good in the world building. It's not crazy, but it's like just enough to help the plot along, and so I really liked it. It was just, there was no like barrier to entry, you know. It was just a fun ride with really great characters and a really well-written romance, because I had been worrying that I had no heart, because a lot of fantasy romance that I read, I get annoyed because I'm like, this romance is not fleshed out enough, the story suffered because of the romance, but this managed to weave together the romance and the plot in a way that was satisfying for both of them, and that I think is really rare. So I really liked this book. The next book that I read in March was The Traitor Queen by Danielle Jensen. This is the second book in the Bridge Kingdom series because I was so enamored that I immediately purchased the next 2 books, and then eagerly awaited their arrival. So yeah, this book I thought was, I loved the first book ever so slightly more. Not like a different rating more, but just like because it was the first one, it just sort of had this like spark about it. But this one, it felt like essentially the second half of the book. And it was really great. I thought it was a really good conclusion. I was really happy, but also sad. It was really great. I think this is a perfect sequel to the first book. So the next book I read was, of course, The Inadequate Heir by Danielle Jensen. This is in the Bridge Kingdom series, but it follows a different couple, and I did not like it as much. I still really, really enjoyed it, and I would really recommend it. I never like it when book series switch main characters, especially when I really like the main character, and I really liked the main character of the Bridge Kingdom. So it's always a hard sell for me on that. And then the other thing is this sort of overlaps with the time period of the second book of the others, so you kind of already know what's going to happen. Like, you're following different characters and like a different plot line, but you still kind of know what's going to happen. And part of what was so good, I thought, about the Bridge Kingdom and the Traitor Queen was the tension throughout, where like I just couldn't stop turning the page. Like, I couldn't put it down because I had to know what happened. And this, like, I kind of knew what was going to happen, so that element of tension was just not quite as there. And then the romance was a little bit like steamier than I like. I like a lot more of a slow burn, which is more what the other books were. And this one was a lot quicker. But I'm holding out all of my judgment on the couple until I read second book for them, because maybe I'll be more satisfied with their decision-making skills later on. But yeah, beautiful cover, first of all. Like, it's beautiful, but still a really enjoyable read with a lot of world building. Just not the couple that I liked following, the main character primarily, Laura, that I liked following, and I always get salty when authors decide to change characters partway through a series. It annoys me. I know it's common in romance, so I need to get over it, and that's a me problem. And the last book that I read in March was Ghost Story by Jim Butcher. This is the 13th book in the Dresden Files. Honestly, I don't know. It does not say. I think it's the 13th. If I'm wrong, I'm very sorry. But this book, I can't really tell you what it is about too much, obviously, because it's the 13th book in the series. But it was really, really good. I was a little bit worried about this one because of reasons that I can't say. And just like some of the elements that had been set up for this book, I was like, that's going to be really difficult to pull off. But I thought it went really well. I thought it was pulled off really well. I was really satisfied. The character development, I am very excited to read the next book when I eventually order it. But yeah, amazing. Just such a good entry. Changes, I think, is like a little bit better, but I don't know, because I just think this was a really, really excellent follow-up to Changes, because there were a lot of things that needed to be addressed, and this, I think, addressed them beautifully. So, a great book, in my opinion. But yeah, that is everything that I read in March. Sorry that I didn't finish Rhythm of War, everybody. It is what it is. I will get back to it eventually, probably. It's not bad. It's nothing like that. It's just that it's really long, and it's like, I don't know. It's like being able to see how much more work you have to do on a book that's that big. It's a lot. And this one just isn't quite as fast-paced. Like, I understand there's a lot of information that's clearly being set up for the 5th book, right? A lot. And a lot of it is very world-buildy or, like, science and magic-y information, right? And I get that that's going to be important, and it's all going to be relevant, and all of that. And, like, it's interesting. It's just, it's like how reading a science textbook is interesting. Like, you're still like, this is cool, and I'm happy to have this information in my brain. But I'm not, like, looking forward to picking it up. Now, I did reach the 4th part. I haven't started it. I think I read the interludes too, so I think I'm literally like right at the 4th part. Could be wrong about that. And So maybe it'll be a little bit faster paced because Sanderson and his endings typically are really good. So we'll see about that, I guess. Hopefully I'll pick it back up in May. Anyways, thanks everybody for watching this video. Bye!